Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah wahda, wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'da, amma ba'd. Tayammum. Tayammum or dry ablution, it means aim, to intend, to have a purpose, the maqsad. It refers to aiming or seeking the soil to wipe one's face and hands with the intention of purification and preparing oneself to pray and all the ibadat which require wudu. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this in Surah An-Nisa. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in this expedition where Sayyidah Aisha radhiyallahu ta'ala anha was with her. It's Ghazwa, Dhatul Jaish. On her way back, and where they were planning to leave, return back, Sayyidah Aisha lost her necklace. This happened in another vessel as well, Ghazwatul Muraisi. But here it happened, and he lost his necklace. She said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I lost my necklace. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked people to stand back. We're not leaving now. Let's just search for it. Now, obviously, it delayed people. Everyone is ready. They're about to go, and say the Aisha radhiyallahu anha caused everyone to stay back and delayed. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to his tent. He said, "Let me just have a bit of rest," because nobody would leave after Fajr. So obviously, you were tired with your expedition and exhausted. Didn't have enough rest. Woke up first thing in the morning to leave, preparing before that. So while we just been looked after, people were just looking for it, the necklace. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to his tent and then rested. And he fell asleep on the thighs of Sayyidah Aisha. People started talking, saying things. Oh, Aisha delayed us. It's quite common, natural. People would do that. Abu Bakr Siddiq radhiyallahu anhu wasn't very happy with that. He came inside the tent and he would start telling her off without words. And then he actually poked his finger inside the side of Sayyidah Aisha. Why you delayed me? Meaning you're causing trouble to everyone. It's not fair. And Sayyidah Aisha said, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even make a noise because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was resting on my leg, so I didn't want to move so she doesn't get disturbed. So I just bore it, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then a bit later woke up and he had the revelation of tayammum. Now, had that incident not take place, hasn't taken place, then we didn't have this tayammum. The minute they received this ayat, Usayd ibn Hudayr and many other Sahaba started congratulating him. Wow, what a lovely family. Oh, Abu Bakr Siddiq, you and your daughter, you are so blessed. Every time you get something, we get some concession from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We get some blessings through you. You guys are amazing. And this is how we got this ayah. That was the intention behind this ayah. That's one of the reason behind this ayah's revelation. So Allah says, then if you don't find, فَتَيَمَّمُوا صَعِيدًا طَيِّبًا فَامْسَحُوا بِوُجُوهِكُمْ وَأَيْدِيكُمْ. So if you do not find water for wudu or ghusl, then intend the soil and then thereby get the purification. So what are the conditions for validity? Intention. Now in other actions, it is not necessary to have the intention. For example, wudu. There's difference of opinion. Do you have to have intention for wudu, or without intention you can still have it? So Hanafis would say your wudu is valid even if you didn't have intention for wudu, because it is not maqsood, ibadat maqsooda. It's not the actual ibadah itself. It is an act of obedience in order to get somewhere else. You just don't do wudu for wudu. You do wudu for something else. So it's not personally aimed for. So unlike the tayammum you are doing without intention, it would not be valid. Why? Because naturally you do not get purified with the dust. Water, yes, you will be cleaning yourself. With dust, you're actually doing opposite, making yourself more dusty. So actually you're not clear, but it is ritual. For ritual, you have to have the intention. So in tayammum, it is wajib, it is farq, it is rukun, a condition. Otherwise, without intention, if you're soaked in dust due to sandstorm, it would not make you have have your tayammum done. Unlike water, if it's raining and you're wet, your wudu is done. Okay, so that's number one, intention. And so intention, obviously, for a Muslim, it has to be done by a Muslim. Secondly, it should be mature person who has the faculties working. Someone who hasn't got, is subnormal, special need person, mentally disabled, he won't be able to do tayammum. And the knowledge what you're saying, whatever you're saying, if you're saying is, or if you're intending in your mind, that intention should know what you're intending. The person should know what I'm intending to take purification so that I can perform my prayer or whatever. Now, if you wanted to pray with that tayammum, you must have the intention to remove the ritual impurity, which was hadath. Hadath asghar, hadath akbar. I had minor impurity or major impurity. I want to remove that through this tayammum. If you've done that, then you can pray with that tayammum. Or that, so that I can perform my salah. If that's the intention, obviously you can perform your salah. Or that I want to perform anything which requires wudu or purification. If you have that intention, you can perform your salah. This is to cover the side, which is this. You cannot perform salah with your tayammum if the intention was just wanted to do tayammum. Why are just getting ready in case? No. So you have to have the intention of one of those three to be able to perform. So you have got tayammum. This tayammum is valid, but it can only be valid for the action that you have done. So for the salah, you have to have those intentions. Or I want to recite Quran verbally. It is mustahab to be in the state of wudu. I broke my wudu and there's no water around. I do tayammum for recitation of Quran. Now, for recitation of Quran, you do not need wudu. No, neither would you need tayammum, but it's mustahab. If your intention is for that only, then you can't pray with that tayammum any prayers. Understand that? So understand that, because for prayer, you have to have those three, any of those three intentions to make your prayer valid with that tayammum. Your tayammum is valid, but it is only limited to the action that you have done it for. Likewise, I want to touch Quran. So again, this is not an ibadah. For that, you can only do touching of Quran. Can't do prayer with that tayammum. Like I want to enter masjid. Again, entering the masjid, you can enter the masjid. You can do other things, but not prayer. I want to go to any graveyard, mustahab, but again, you can't pray with that tayammum. I want to do adhan or iqamah. Again, you can't pray with that. So just have the intention of prayer or ritually purifying yourself or doing anything that you need wudu for, purification. Okay. And some say if you, even with the intention of entering Islam, that is counted as well. Or sajda, obviously. Sajda, there's difference of opinion, but Imam Shafi'i say you can't do, you have to have tayammum for obligatory stuff, not for tayammum. No, not for the sajda. For them, it is not wajib. For us, it is wajib. So, difference of opinion. Okay. Second is, there has to be a legitimate excuse to make tayammum. You can't be doing tayammum because I feel like doing it. I fear, no. Number one, the water is a mile away from you. A mile away from you. Okay. Even if it's within the city, but a mile away, that's long enough distance. Walking. Illness, a very severe cold, or you fear that illness would get worse if I did wudu with water now. I've got water, but if I did wudu with this, it's not warm, it's very, very cold, and I'm on my journey. If I did it would cause my illness to be worse. Serious illness, not mild cold or something. Fear of enemy. The water is available there. If I went out of my house, enemy would just take me. So that's fine. Then you can do tayammum. You're thirsty. You have got enough water to make bread. You're hungry. And if you use this for wudu, then you're not left with any water to cook your food. Then you can do tayammum and use that water for food. For bread mainly. They've got to the detail. This water can be used for curry, for the dough making, for bread, not for curry, because you don't have to have curry with your meat. You can just roast it. You can just barbecue it. You don't have to have curry. We don't have to have water in there. So you can't be doing tayammum thinking that I'm going to use this water for curry. समझ में आ रहा है? लंबी दाल बनानी है. If you miss your Eid prayer, they think your Janaza prayer, that's a valid excuse as well. Why? Because Janaza and Eid prayer, if you were to do wudu, it would take long enough, and by the time you finish, if you fear that your prayer will be gone, Janaza or Eid prayer, then you're allowed to make tayammum for that. Even if you did wudu and you broke your Eid prayer, then you can quickly do tayammum and come back. Even that is okay. Why? Because there's no substitute for that. Unlike Jummah prayer. For Jummah, even if you miss your Dhuhr, Jummah, you can do Qadha. You can do your Dhuhr if you miss your Jummah. There's alternative for that. For Janazah, there's no alternative. For Eid prayer, there's no alternative. You have to do that, and what is gone is gone. Okay? Unless you've got other masjid to go to, that's fine, which is later. That's okay. So if you look at that, then there'll be absence of water or fear. Absence of water could be real or could be legal. Real is when there's no water within a mile. Or it's legal, it's available, but can't be used. Why? Because either the illness would get worse, or you may get ill, or not enough water, you have to use it for something else. It's available, but can't be reached because there's no tool to draw it from the well, maybe. Or there's some obstruction, enemies blocking you. Okay. Or fear of enemy, fear of beast, fear of Janaza, missing Janaza or Eid prayer. You might lose some possessions. If you were to go out and take water, someone would snatch stuff from you. So then you have to stay there. Although the water is there, but enemies all surrounding you, or thief or whatever. Or the death to yourself or to your companion, they will be dying of thirst. Or the animal that needs water. So give water to your donkey, your ride, your camel. Okay. Third condition, you can only do tayammum from earthly substance, which means that something which is made of earth, and how do you know what something is made of earth? You can't burn it, you can't melt it, and you can't cause it to decay. So if you put that in the ground, it would decay. So all the vegetables are gone. All the fruits, food items are gone because they would decay. Can't do tayammum with that, with a watermelon. Wood, you can burn it, can't use it. Metal, you can melt it, can't use it. Other than that, brick, stone, they all can be used. Okay. So you can use stone, soil, lime, sand, that can be used. If there's no such items, but other items, and they have dust on them, that's one. For this, any item made of earth, like this brick, a stone, you do not need any dust on it. You can just rub on it and use it. You don't need it to be dusty. But for the plastic, for this radiator, if it is full of dust, then you can use that dust to do tayammum. Either dust itself or the thing made of the earth. Okay. How about the earth if it is impure? Then it can become pure once it is dry. If it dried out, then it's okay. So we'll let it dry naturally. But you can pray on that. You cannot use that for tayammum. That becomes pure enough to be prayed on, but can't be used for tayammum if it was impure through urine or whatever. Okay, so as I said, doesn't get altered, decimated, burned to ashes or melt. Number 4, all the parts of the body which you need to do tayammum on must be covered. You can't leave a small area untouched or uncovered with that. It has to be. So two areas, your face, all of that, everything, and your arms up to the elbows, including elbows, must be properly rubbed with that hand. Okay, we'll come to the method in a minute. And again, you have to do it with most of your hand or entire hand. If you can't do, then most of the hand. You can't just be doing, let me just do with one finger, pasting it like this, painting it on. Will count. You have to use most of your hand, if not all of your hand. Two strikes in the Hanafi school. Other schools, some say one is enough. There's difference of opinion. Two strikes mean one. So we'll come to the way in a minute. Then you do, this is for face, and the second one for your hands. Two strikes on the earth. Okay. One should not be in a state which is not compatible with wudu or ghusl or tayammum, like being on the periods, something that would make you impure all the time, regular problems. So then there is a problem, isn't it? Then you'll be ma'adur. And there should be nothing that will prevent you rubbing. Must. So there was paint or wax that will bar you from touching that part of the skin on the hand or on the face, then that would invalidate your tayammum. It must be removed. Okay. Again, whenever you need to do, when would you do wudu? You would do tayammum if you do not have water. Same thing for prayer, for tawaf. Okay. But again, you have to be sane, mature, Muslim, and in the state of minor impurity, whatnot. 2 pillars, to wipe the arms with the elbow and to wipe the face. What are the sunan of tayammum? Saying Bismillah at the beginning, keeping the order. Tayammum must be done uninterruptedly, like, not having gap in between, going out, doing something else, chit chat or whatever. So the mustahab way is you put your after intention, put both of your head in the earth, move your head front and back once like this, with the fingers spread apart, doing like that, so that everywhere the dust can go in. But once you've done that, lift your hand, join your both thumbs, palm facing down, strike it, keeping the fingers open, strike it like this. What it would do, we just shed all the excess dust in there. Whatever is left, that is to be used for wiping. First with face, second your arms. Okay. Shake off the soil as you did. And then, now it is mustahab to delay tayammum for the one who is hoping that he would get water. Either someone promised, I'm going to bring, and he said, I will bring before prayer, don't you worry. But he didn't. He's late and late and late. Obviously, nowadays you can contact on phone. But if you didn't know, then you just wait until you know that I would miss my prayer. So keep it to the if you hope that there'll be a chance of getting water. No one has promised, but you know there is a possibility where we live or whatever. In that case, it's better to delay. But it's obligatory if you have someone has promised you that they would bring it. Because as soon as the water comes, your tayammum is gone. So there's no point doing tayammum. Just keep waiting until you get it. If someone is naked and someone has promised, I will bring clothes for you, then you have to stay in that position. Don't do tayammum and pray yet. Wait for the clothing to come. Likewise, if someone is promised to bring the tools, the bucket to draw water from the well, so you have to wait until he comes. About 400 steps far, that much you should try to seek water, knocking at the door, finding out maybe there's a well, maybe there's some reservoir of water. If you haven't done that, then you haven't done it. If you think that it is possibly available. If you clearly know that there's no water available, then that's a different matter. You've got stuck somewhere. If you know that there's a person who got some water, you have to seek his permission. Ask him. You can't assume that he wouldn't give it to you. Even if it means that you have to pay some money, give him some money for that. Okay. You can give a bit of increased price even. But if it's too expensive, then you're allowed to leave it. Once you've done your tayammum for prayer, then you can do however many prayer. It doesn't nullify. You can carry on for whole day, however long you do not break it. Okay. And you can make your tayammum before the time starts. Before Maghrib start, you've just done your tayammum. Okay, no problem. If half or more of the body is wounded, then you can perform tayammum as well. If the greater part is free from wounds, then one should wash the unwounded limb and wipe over the wounded area. Masah, as opposed to tayammum. If more than half of the body is affected with wound, all wrapped up with bandage here and there, more than half of the body, 4 parts, 2 or more than 2 parts are affected, then you can just resort to tayammum. Okay? But you can't be mixing the two. Half body you're doing tayammum, half you're doing wudu. You have to do either this or that. But wiping is okay. Masa with wet hand, that's fine. If you had water but you didn't realize that you had it, it was somewhere in the trunk and you didn't realize after you prayed and everything, and you say, oh, now you know there was a bucket sitting there. I forgot. I thought I left it at home, but it was in my car, a liter sitting there. You don't have to repeat the prayer. According to Imam Hanifa rahmatullah, students say it's better to repeat it. Because now that you have got water, but just use it and do it again. Now, so the scenarios are like this. He places the water somewhere in his tent or in his house, wherever he's staying. Then he didn't look for it. He assumed that it's not there. If he looked for it and didn't find, that's a different matter. So then he has to repeat his prayer by consensus. His servant did it for him, but he didn't know. So then there's difference of opinion. When Imam said, don't repeat. Done. He put himself and he forgot, again differed upon. He actually forgot. Okay. But what would nullify your tayammum? Anything that would nullify your wudu. Bleeding, sleeping, passing wind. Okay. If someone has the limb amputated, or he has got, leg is amputated, hand is covered with wound, then he can pray without even wudu or tayammum or anything. What would he do? He hasn't got anything to do anything on. So he's absolved from this. Likewise, someone who is faqidut tahurain. Who is faqidut tahurain? Faqid, the one who hasn't got, he has got fuqdan, he has got absence of tahurain, two purifying things. Two purifying things is water and dust, sand. So you're in the plain and you haven't got water, like either it's just finished or you haven't got the, your something to do tayammum on, some earthly thing. Then there's different ways. So you would leave it here and repeat it afterwards. The difference of opinion on that, whether it's obligation on you or not. Okay. So there was a mnemonic for that I memorized. Malik wa Shafi'i Ahmad or Ham. Malik or Shafi'i Ahmad or Ahmad or Ham. So Malik, Shafi'i, Ahmad in that order, or Ham and we. La la na'am na'am wa na'am la wa la na'am. La la. So Imam Malik says, you do not, if you do not have water or dust to do tayammum on, then you do not need to pray at that point, and neither you have to repeat it later on. You're absolved from the prayer. La la. Neither then nor subsequently. Imam Shafi'i said you have to pray without wudu, without tayammum there, and then repeat it after you come back. Imam Ahmad says you pray without wudu, without tayammum, then, but you don't have to repeat it. And Imam Abu Hanifa said you do not pray at that point. You come back and then pray. La la na'am na'am wa na'am la wa la na'am hum. So you don't need to memorize everything. All you know is just the order. Okay. Isn't that amazing? That was the easiest way of remembering it. And that's it. So any question on tayammum? Dry ablution, easy.
And you do multiple prayers.
With that one tayammum, yes. If you have intention of doing this tayammum for prayer, you can do as long as you haven't broken your tayammum.
Can you do multiple intentions? Like I want to read Quran and Jama'ah.
So if you, yeah, exactly. You can just say, I would do all the things which are required, which require tayammum. Then you can do whatever you want to do. It's just for the prayer. What they're saying that prayer is such an important aspect that you have to have intention of purification for that if you're doing tayammum. Because tayammum, you're actually doing anti-purification. Technically, apparently, you're making yourself dusty. You have to have that clear intention in your mind that I'm doing it for prayer. Okay, that's when it's obligatory. You're doing it for non-obligatory stuff, then you can't go for that to do something obligatory. So have the intention of obligatory, then you can do everything with it. Means emphasizing the importance of having the intention for prayer. Do your tayammum whenever you do. Why would you not do that? Now, this tayammum is valid even in the same way for ghusl. If you have a need for ghusl and you do not have water, then you can do the same tayammum. One strike covering face, one strike covering both hands. 2 times. First time means 2 times separately. Then this, and whatever is left, rubbed on your face nicely. Whatever the skin that you could see. Don't have to do khilal. I've seen people doing kulli with that and putting some dust in the nose as well. I don't know what they do like now. What are you doing? Just doing like wudu. None of that is one time. Only one time on the face and one time here. But making sure that everything is covered properly. Both sides, both ends.
Is that hands first or face first?
Face first. As normal order is for wudu. Face first. Yeah. It mustahab. It is preferred if you go into graveyard to have your wudu. So for that reason, if someone did it, tayammum, no water available or getting late, they can do it. But you can't pray with that. The intention was to visit the grave.
Within the size of the stone or
No. So ideally, something that obviously is very small, that will be very difficult to get hold your hand covered with that. So you have to be enough that your whole hand can be covered with this. So you can use that hand throughout. So the stone, if you use it, it should be smooth. That's why now you know why they take a smooth stone. Don't have to have. But the ease of smooth stone is that you can just get hold of your hand covered with it. Because now, how would you decipher that this bit was not touched, was not touching at all? You're using that for this part of your hand. That area is not done. It must be, that is why it's better to do in the proper dust and doing it properly, getting it nicely, covered up with the dust.
Something mixed with dust, like grass. So grass is dust.
Dusty grass, a lot of dust on that.
No, like normal grass. This is for soil.
The base soil wouldn't be counted, no. It must be covering that thing. It must be making a good, nice, thick layer on that. I mean, you could see the dust and it's coming with it. That's why try avoid anything other than the soil, dry soil. That's the best way. So you didn't get this again?
We have no water and no dust as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so that was the shade that I was reading. La la na'am na'am wa na'am la wa la na'am. So for Hanafis, you don't do it, you don't pray, then you pray later on. When you reach your destination. You don't do it then. Without wudu, without tayammum, you can't pray. No, you're not sinful for that. You have to pray after the time. Obviously, it's qada, but you're not sinful for that. That's valid excuse. Wall, yes, you can use the wall for that. Making sure that you've done it proper rubbing in the hand.
In flight, like normally it's a limited amount of water anyway. Even if you have, if you can do it, so you're like the next person probably won't have water. It's good to.
No, because you shouldn't be bothered about others because you're not responsible for them. So if you go to the toilet, mashallah, enough water that you can use. But try to use only for faraid and sparingly. And when you're traveling in the plane, you know that you would need wudu for either for nafil prayer even, if you have not got any fard to do, like the timing is such, then have your leather socks on. So it's easier, just wipe on the leather socks. And it's sunnah as well, fulfill that sunnah. And just do your face, hand, and basa doesn't require much water. So it wouldn't be too much water used, to be honest. A glass is enough. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would do wudu with one glass, which is a quarter, a mud. That's it. That's not a lot. So yeah. So when you're in the plane or anywhere where you can't stand up, then for fard prayer, the 6 faraid, 6 essentials. When you pray sitting, you have not got your qiyam, you have not got your ruku, you have not got your sajda, even your tashahhud is on the seat, not on the ground. Qada akhira. 4 gone. You just got takbir tahrima and qira'ah. Out of 6, only 2 faraid you're doing. Obviously, your prayer is completely defective. But you still pray, even if you're not facing qibla, because this is the time of prayer. And I've got my wudu, I must pray. And then come back and repeat that prayer. As a traveler prayer, it will be 2 fard anyway for Zuhr, for example. You come home to your destination and do your prayer, just 2 fard. That's one. Yeah, that's not.
In the workplace, when it comes to us at the time, we have two I've been in situations where the Jama'ah going one with the first mistake awkwardly coming at that time, and people just looking at me thinking, why are you doing Jama'ah? Can you just clarify what you do in those situations? Is it better to join the Jama'ah?
MashaAllah, it's a very good question. There's difference of opinion among the Imams. What is the Asr beginning time? Is it Misli Awwal or Misli Thani? Misli Awwal means, so when we are standing up or anything that you put on the ground, and sun is right at the top, at the zenith, at the meridian, then what happened? If it is straight up, then the shadow of that thing or the human being would be buried inside it for that moment, for little time, no shadow. Or if you just little bit here and there, there'll be some shadow, but that is only because it's angle. It's not directly on your head, small angle. That is the right at the zenith. That is called the dahwa. This is the state you are in. From there, the sun start going down towards the west. It just start going down. Well, what we see going down, and the shadows start going the opposite direction. It started getting longer and longer. So the shadow, when it becomes the size of that thing, same size, is called mithl. And if it is 2 times that size, it's called mithlain, means 2 mithl is sani, second mithl. So obviously when sun is here, you got a small shadow, down, further longer, further down, further longer. So there'll be at some point here, maybe it is same size. Is this the time for Asr? Is it where Zuhr prayer stops? Like, there's no more for Zuhr time and Asr starts? Or is it the sun has to go further down till the shadow become double the size of this object? It's going there. Now this is Asr time. So Imam Abu Hanifa's view is this: the Asr starts when the shadow is double the size of that object. Okay. And other Imams, all 3 of the Imam and 2 students of Imam Abu Hanifa, they all have this opinion that it is when it is just one size of the shadow. Now, based on this, there is issue. The issue is this: what if someone is praying Asr in their masjid and they started at Misli Awwal and they follow Imam Shafi'i's view, for example, Imam Ahmad or other Imams' view? Then you as Hanafi, what should you do? Workplace, traveling here and there. So there's difference if you are in Makkah or Medina and people are leading prayer at the earliest time, you just follow them because you do not want to miss on the reward of praying in Haramain. That's exception. Everywhere else, you should not join that Jama'ah. Jama'ah is Sunnatul Mu'akkada. Or in the masjid is Sunnatul Mu'akkada. On your own is wajib. You can have someone else to join you. But to pray within time is fard. In the salata kanat al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta. Even if that is earlier time, so what? You can delay it. You are still within the time. You're safer praying within the time. And Imam Abu Hanifa's view is very strong actually on this. This is why, despite Imam Sahib being on his own, other Imam and his 2 students on the other side, even then, Hanafis have taken Imam Abu Hanifa's view on this matter. Although they have taken more than 1/3 of Imam Abu Hanifa's positions have not been taken in Hanafi school. The students, Imam Abu Yusuf and Imam Muhammad's opinion have been taken. Yet on this matter, it is Imam Sahib's view which is very, very strong. Imam Sahib's view is really strong on this matter and the safest. So we stick to that, and that saves us. Unless you are in a very, very dire situation, you've been traveling, and if you didn't do it now, you know that one-off here and there. But even then, I would suggest that repeat it afterwards if you get time. Because, as I said, Imam Sahib's view is very, mashallah, well thought out. Okay. So it's safer.
That gives us once, and then you wipe it with face.
Hmm.
You just have it twice.
Second time, and then wiping the arms. 2 strike means like this: once before, 1 second, one for face, one for arm. ठीक है? Jazakallah khair. See? Saying something? Okay, President. MashaAllah. May Allah bless you. नहीं होता, इसीलिए जरा एहतियात करनी पड़ती है, इसीलिए ऐसा स्मूथ पत्थर करना ज्यादा अच्छा है, इसलिए रखना चाहिए अपना स्मूथ सा. The old ladies, Dadi Nani, they always have this. It's a very nice one, which you can have small particles coming out of it. nicely coming out of it. And then you feel that you've got something on that. Otherwise, it becomes a bit tricky how much you have done it. So you have to be very thorough for that. Tayammum is much more thorough. Okay.